31 to start live streaming the meeting. Welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. I'm Deputy Mayor, Councillor Ranka Rasik. I declare this meeting open at 7:01. I would like to welcome the members of the public who have joined us in the chamber tonight. Members of the public attending council and committee meetings are expected to behave respectfully at all times and not permitted to engage with the councillors or council officers during the course of the meeting. Officers are employees who have a right to be safe and treated with respect at their workplace. You may be asked to leave the meeting if your behaviour is considered inappropriate, disrespectful, disruptive or rude. We will not tolerate any behaviour that threatens the safety of anyone present in the chamber or which disrupts the ability of council to conduct the business on behalf of the community. In the unlikely event of emergency, please follow directions of council officers and the emergency procedures on the wall near the door. I would like to note I have given approval for the Channel 31 to live stream this meeting. A recording of the meeting will be published on Council's website. Please stand for acknowledgement of country. On behalf of Brimbank City Council, I respectfully acknowledge and recognise the Wurundjeri and Bunurong peoples as traditional custodians of this land and pay respect to their elders past, present and future. I ask councillors to remain standing for the council commitment. Others may be seated. As the council, we will act in the best interest of the Brimbank community and consider the immediate and long-term impact of our decisions. We'll make these decisions fairly and without bias. We will uphold all our obligations under the laws of Victoria and council's local laws, and we'll act in accordance with our code of conduct. Please be seated. I'm going to go to item 3, apologies. Councillor Bruce Lancashire and Councillor Jay Papalia have submitted an apology for this meeting. Disclosure of conflict of interest. Are there any declarations of conflicts of interest, councillors? No. Thank you. Suspension of standing orders. Councillors, I wish to put forward a motion that standing orders be suspended as per Governance Rule 77 to allow a presentation from the Chair of the Audit and Risk Committee regarding the Audit and Risk Committee Annual Activity Report, which was included in item 12.7, Governance Report September 2023. There will be no motion or debate during suspension of standing orders. After the presentation, standing orders will resume and the agenda will proceed as per the business papers. Item 12.7 will be considered later this evening as per the order of business. May I have a mover of the motion to suspend standing orders? Councillor Nguyen, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move the motion to suspend standing orders.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor David. Okay. Councillor David, thank you. I'll put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. I'll now invite Jeff Harry, Chair of Audit and Risk Committee. Thank you.
Can I just thank Council for allowing me to do this presentation early this evening? Much appreciated, thank you. In your papers tonight, you have a copy of the annual activity report of the Audit and Risk Committee for the last 12 months. Sorry? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Thank you. So the Audit and Risk Committee of Council is an important role. It's a committee that supports Council to do a range of things related to financial risk, audit, compliance and governance matters. We have full agendas and we meet 4 times a year. We are independent of management, which is a critical point in terms of what this committee does. The report in front of you tonight includes the outcomes of the last 4 meetings over the last year. I note that in the report it talks about the fact that the Charter was reviewed last and changed on the 1st of September. So all of the review activity during the year in regard to the Charter is complete. I will also say, Deputy Mayor, that we've had really good attendance at meetings this year. I think with very few exceptions, there's been full attendance. I also note that partway through the year, one of our 3 independent members finished their term of office and a new member was appointed, and they attended their first meeting in May. The committee enjoys a very strong working relationship with the CEO and the executive team, and in my opinion, that's a critical reason why the committee is successful and is able to effectively carry out its work. We have internal auditors and we have external auditors. The internal auditors are highly regarded and they have given us good value over the last year. The external auditors is the Auditor General of Victoria, but an agent has been appointed to do that work, and so we deal with the agent. I also note that the ARC support team during this last year and fairly recently moved from the finance team of Council to the governance team, and that has been a fairly smooth transition. The committee's work is driven by its annual work plan. The annual work plan is a key document and it's developed from the Charter that this committee determines. So we're very much focused on delivering what Council wants us to do. I will note that in the report that you have tonight, that there is an endorsement involved in regard to Council's approval of the annual financial report and the annual performance statement, and they will, I guess, be considered later in the evening. I will note that the audit opinion on that annual financial statement and annual performance statement contains clear audit opinions, and there were no matters arising from the audit for the year ended 30 June 23 of any significance. So that was a very pleasing outcome. As always, there are matters to consider in regard to risk management, and that was the same in the year that I'm reporting on. The risk management focus perhaps was slightly lighter in its activity this last year, but I know there are plans in place that we discussed at our last meeting on the 1st of September for that activity to actually lift, and I think the committee is looking forward to seeing the outputs of that work. In the year gone, internal audit has also been very active, and there have been a number of reviews completed by the internal auditors. And so there'll be a strong focus again in 2023-24 on internal audit. The committee also noted in its report that it was pleased with the progress made by officers in regard to internal audit actions recommendations provided by the internal auditors in terms of opportunities for improvements to systems and controls. I will make mention of the fact that the committee was particularly pleased to see the new policy transformation project underway, and with it the compliance management framework. These are important elements of work for Council. The committee has seen the resourcing and then the plan developed, and has seen the early results of that work and has been pleased with that, and is also pleased to know that that work will continue over the next year. Deputy Mayor, my last point tonight relates to a report released by IBAC about 2 months ago, relating to Operation Sandon, which was a review done in regard to Casey City Council, which everyone seems to be aware of. We'll look with interest at the outworkings of that. We know that there are a number of things recommended in there which need to be responded to by state and local government. I actually have noted this council's concern with some of the recommendations in regard to planning responsibilities. I'm just flagging or making the comment because I know that, or I expect that over the next year, maybe 2 years, I think we will be seeing a lot of outworkings from that report, and at this point in time it's too early to predict just where that might all settle. So, Deputy Mayor, I'm very happy to take questions, but I think I've covered the key points. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, on this presentation. Councillors, does anyone have any question? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillors, may I have a mover of a motion to resume standing orders? Councillor Takos?
I move the motion to resume standing orders.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Borg?
I'll second the motion, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Put motion to vote. All in favour? Carried. I'm going to go to item 5, designation of items as confidential. May I have a mover of the motion to designate the items as confidential? Councillor David?
Move the motion, Madam Mayor, for the designation of items confidential.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Borg?
I'll second the motion. Thank you.
Would you like to speak to this motion, Councillor?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Borg? Would anyone else like to speak to this motion, councillors? Put motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. I'm going to go to item 6, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. May I have a mover of a motion to confirm the minutes of the previous meeting? Councillor Kerr?
Yeah, I'll move the motion as per the business papers.
Thank you. Is this bit better? Yeah?
Can you hear that? Yep.
No worries. I'll be speaking mainly. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Chair. I'd like to second the motion.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to motion?
No, thank you.
No. Was she at previous meeting? To confirm the
Yes, I
minutes?
was.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. She did. Would anyone like to speak to this motion, councillors? Yep. Put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Got on track? Yep. Thank you. Carried. We're going to go to item 7, condolences. There are no items of condolences this evening. So we proceed to item 8, congratulations. There are no items of congratulations this evening. Councillor Kerr, I understand that you would like to speak on the, Councillor Tarkus, that you would like to speak on the incident that occurred in Kilo Village.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Chair. I would just like to say a few words. I'd like to express my thanks to the Keilor community that has shown tremendous courage and unity to support the local businesses and each other in what was a highly traumatic incident. Thank you to the first responders and support services that have remained present, the council cleansing team, the economic development officer that has engaged with the Keilor Village businesses. It's known that trauma takes time to heal and to get through. I know that our very tight-knit community appreciates all the heartwarming messages and support for help. It is on the journey to healing. And I really believe that because we are a tight-knit community, that this will make the journey a lot easier. Very proud to be part of this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkus. Going to go to item number 9, public question time. Mr. Brady, I understand we have received questions from members of the public.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor and Councillors. We have 10 questions from members of the public tonight. The first question is from Catherine McDonald. In respect to an answer to my question, July 2023 council meeting public question, the Mayor advised a specific PD was not created for a curator of HV Mackay Gardens, as a curator alone would not be sufficient to manage the gardens to the level it is currently maintained. Council appointed a qualified gardener in 2021-22. This position was responsible for maintenance of garden areas within Sunshine Area, including HV Mackay Gardens. Can Council advise why the Friends of the Mackay Gardens, via the Council Strategic Management Group, which has among it constituted members Anna Urban and Tom Razmavosky, were given the impression that a curator had been appointed to this position?
The Friends of the Mackay Garden have advocated to Council for curator on previous occasions. Council has consistently maintained its commitment to the maintenance of HV Mackay Memorial Gardens through the provision of adequate resourcing rather than the appointment of the curator.
Deputy Mayor and Councillors, the second question is also from Catherine McDonald. Can Council explain why no position description was devised and who was responsible for this decision, along with the view that a curator would act alone in the maintenance of Mackay Gardens rather than an overseer of gardening staff? Does anyone among Council officer actually know what a heritage garden curator is?
As per the response of the previous question, Council has consistently maintained its commitment to the maintenance of HV Mackay Memorial Gardens through the provision of adequate resourcing rather than the appointment of curator. Staff resourcing decisions are ultimately the responsibility of the CEO under Local Government Act. Council officers are very aware of the responsibilities of the curator in the maintenance of a heritage garden. The HV Mackay Memorial Gardens are well maintained. The current management and maintenance structure is considered appropriate and suitable, responding to the needs of gardens.
The next question is from Claire Nomdegur. Is the Legacy Boxing Gym in Sunshine West permitted to trade on Saturdays and have more than 14 people in its premises, and can it continue to operate as a boxing gym given the club was deregistered by Boxing Victoria? If not, what action is Council taking to investigate and deal with alleged breaches?
The planning permit for the Legacy Boxing Gym does not permit it to operate on Saturdays or to have more than 12 clients and 2 staff at any one time. Brimbank's Planning Compliance Department is currently investigating alleged breach of the planning permit. The deregistration of the club by Boxing Victoria has no impact on the validity of the planning permit or whether if the site can continue to be used for boxing gym. There is no requirement within the Brimbank planning scheme or the planning permit for boxing gym to be registered with any organisation in order for it to operate.
The next question is also from Claire Nomdegur. Given the council's previous strong condemnations of Nazi activity at the Legacy Boxing Gym in Sunshine West, will the mayor and councillors be joining the community to protest against this activity on September 23?
On behalf of our community, Brimbank City Council condemns any intolerant, racist, or fascist activity or sentiment within Brimbank and in any other place. There is no place for racism in Brimbank. In line with our community vision 2040, we want our community to be healthy and safe and intent throughout sense of belonging and pride. It is up to individual councillors regarding their participation in the protest.
Deputy Mayor and Councillors, the next question is from David Ritchie.
Can you please be respectful and behave throughout tonight's meeting? Thank you.
Deputy Mayor and Councillors, the next question is from David Ritchie. Can you please confirm the date for the open question forum, as we the people have a right to know, just like everything else has a set date?
Council at its meeting of 18 July resolved to receive a report detailing how a regular public forum meeting could be introducing at Brimbank, City Council for community members to make representation and ask live and unscripted questions of the Mayor or any councillors to promote transparency. It is expected that the report will be presented to Council Ordinary Meeting in October for consideration.
Deputy Mayor and Councillors, question 6 is also from David Ritchie. What gives Council the right to push the yes vote to Parliament? We need to concentrate on things. Deputy Mayor and Councillors, the question is from David Ritchie. We need to concentrate on things in the council and not government agendas.
Can I please have some respect as I'm reading those questions? Thank you. Well, the Voice to Parliament referendum is led by the federal government. There is a matter that concerns all Australians. Council's decision to support the Voice to Parliament and recognition of the Uluru Statement is consistent with the Australian Local Government Association resolution to acknowledge what the voice will mean for Australians' First Nations, peoples, and the broader community. Brimbank Council is committed to reconciliation, and we recognise that our diverse community has different views about the Voice to Parliament.
Deputy Mayor and Councillors, question 7 is from Raina Linz. How many seating benches have been removed from the Mackay Memorial Gardens, and when will they be returned?
6 seating benches have been removed for routine maintenance and will be returned as soon as possible. It is expected this will be reinstalled in early October, subject to supplier delivery of new timber seat slates that were not able to be repaired.
Question 8 is also from Raina Linz. How much does Council collect annually in pet registration fees, and what is the breakdown of the expenditure?
Council collects approximately $500,000 per annum through pet registration fees. This income goes towards payment of the state government's pet registration levy, our ranger services including animal welfare and animal owner education, subsidised pet desexing programs and other activities in line with the Brimbank Domestic Animal Management Plan.
Deputy Mayor and Councillors, question 9 is from Graham Blaw. Given reports that Costco intend to bulldoze 60 mature trees at their new site in Ardea, what steps will Council take to ensure the preservation of these trees and, in fact, a major tree and shrub planting by Costco across the whole site?
The planning permit for the development of a new Costco at 740 and 742 Ballarat Road, Ardea, allows the removal of 60 trees but includes the retention of 6 mature trees along the frontage of the site and the planting of an additional 213 trees throughout the site. The approved plans also include the planting of hundreds of shrubs and ground covers throughout the site.
Deputy Mayor and Councillors, the final question for this evening is also from Graham Blaw. Given the likely large increase in traffic volume from the WRR to Ballarat Road at what is already a highly congested intersection in peak times, what is Council intending to do to ensure that traffic flows are managed well and effectively to avoid massive traffic build-up and potentially dangerous traffic conditions on and off both the WRR and Ballarat Road?
Council regularly advocates for improved traffic management and road safety. In this instance, the Western Ring Road M80 and Ballarat Road are both roads under the care of management of the state government's Department of Transport and Planning. Council can continue to advocate for appropriate traffic management. However, direct resident advocacy can be powerful and therefore suggest that you raise your concern directly with Vic Roads on 131170 or online on the Vic Roads website at vicroads.vic.gov.au. Now we're going to go to item 10 petitions. There's one petition to be received. 10.1 Kilo Park Kindergarten Program 2024. Council received a petition with 62 signatures requesting Council to maintain specific 3-year-old and 4-year-old programs for 2024 at the Kilo Park Kindergarten. May I have a mover of a motion to receive the petition? Councillor Kerr.
I move the motion as per the business papers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Takos. Councillor Kerr, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to acknowledge Susan Skinner for taking the lead on behalf of parents from the Killer Park Kindergarten. Susan sent many detailed emails and we had a few long conversations articulating the challenges parents faced without a standalone 4-year-old kinder room option. I brought this issue to council and worked with officers, and I wanted to advocate for further options to be provided, and I really want to commend council officers for listening to residents, to also listening to my concerns, that and even though we couldn't get every option they wanted on the table, we were able to achieve a more favourable outcome for these parents. I also provided feedback to council for future to advocate for more transparency and consultation with the families, so that way we don't end up in this position again. This is a great example of the community getting together to advocate for better outcomes. And again, I congratulate Susan Skinner for all her hard work in achieving this outcome for her community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Takos.
I would like to also thank Councillor Kerr and also the officers that have been working through this really highly, anxiety-causing issue for getting kinder places. It is fantastic that we do now have free 3-year-old kinder. It's just facilitating it and having enough resources on the ground, and the demand is so big out in our community. So again, thank you, Maria, for all the work, Councillor Kerr, for all the work you've done with Mrs. Skinner, and also Linley for organising that briefing, and the officers that are working very much one-to-one with the mothers and the parents to try and get the best options for the families. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this item? I'll put item to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. We'll go to item 11, minutes reports of delegated committees. There are no minutes or reports of delegated committees. So item 12, officer reports. There are 12 officer reports of consideration by council tonight. If you have alternate or amended motion this evening, you must draft this motion and provide the governance team by email so that they may be shared on screen and form part of the meeting. Otherwise, we may have to draft the matter until the motion has been written, allowing the meeting to proceed uninterrupted. We're going to go to item 12.1, planning activity update and delegated decisions, including planning scheme amendment update with Director Walsh. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide Council with information regarding the status of planning permit applications and trends in planning approvals in Brimbank, decisions made under delegated authority during August of this year, and the status of current planning scheme amendments as at the 31st of August of this year. Officers recommend that Council notes the planning activity update and delegate decisions report and details at attachment 1, and notes the summary, the summary of planning scheme amendments at attachment 3. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, is there any question for the Director? No? Is there a mover of this motion or this report? Councillor Nguyen?
Madam Deputy Mayor, I'd like to move the motion as per business papers.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Tarkos?
Happy to second that, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Newell, would you like to speak to this motion?
No.
Councillor Tarkos? Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this motion, councillors? I'll put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. I'm going to go to item 12.2, application P699/2022 for approval of a development plan at 27 The Scholars Road, Kalba. Director Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The purpose of this report is to provide Council an assessment of the application for a development plan at 27 Driscolls Road in Kielba against the provisions of the Brimbank planning scheme. And officers recommend that Council approves the development plan subject to the incorporation of changes outlined at attachment 5 to the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, is there any question for the Director? Do I have a move of this report? Councillor Tarkos?
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor, I move the report as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor David?
Second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Tarkos, would you like to speak to this report?
Thank you. Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor. The application for 27 Driscolls Road has been a long-awaited master plan, and that has started with an iteration that the Kielba community has been on a long journey to get to this point. And what we have in front of us now is a retirement village, a development plan for a retirement village comprising of 140 diverse independent living units called the Kielba Village Development Plan. In section 5.1, the retention, I know, of the arborist report groups over 100 trees into the high, medium and low value, because I know one of the big issues for my community was, can we retain those beautiful trees in that site? So on page 48, the arborist report by Tree Logic says it seeks to prioritise the retention of high and medium value trees, and that any tree that it is necessitated to be removed, a replacement tree must be provided to the satisfaction of the responsible authority. Also, the developers of the land are encouraged to use local flora and native species when developing the landscape master plan. The traffic management is a key issue, I know, for a lot of the residents that have said to me, you know, Driscolls Road is a major thoroughfare. There will be 2 entry points on Driscolls Road, and there will be a walking path through Sunshine Avenue allowing access. In summary, there is a real need for greater independent residential aged care facilities in Brimbank. We have an ageing community, And whilst this plan is still in its early stages and greater detail will come along and require permits, I believe that this development plan is a huge improvement. It's respectful to the character of the surrounds of Kialba, and I'm very happy to support this development plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor David, would you like to speak to this report?
Just very briefly, Madam Mayor, I think Councillor Takas put it right. It's something that was needed in that part of the world, and this side will be extremely a big part of the community. It's the facility is, and of course, it has independent units as well, including the nursing home. But the independent units are of that of 2 and 3 bedrooms, which I think would be welcome to that area, and I fully support it. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this report? I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. We're going to go to 12.3, Brimbank Economic and Employment Advisory Group Terms of Reference. Mr Walsh?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider the draft Brimbank Economic and Employment Advisory Group Terms of Reference and form a selection panel to determine its chair and membership. Officers recommend that Council endorses the Terms of Reference at Attachment 1, forms a selection panel comprising both the Prosperous and Tourism Portfolio councillors and others to appoint the chair, invites expressions of interest for membership, and then undertakes other activities to establish the group, including presenting a further report to Council regarding the appointment of the chair and membership. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of this motion? Councillor Board?
I'll move the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Takos? Yep. Councillor Borg, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Deputy Chair. At a local economic development is critical for a community to thrive. At a local government level, it's imperative to continue to support and enhance this sector. Brimbank Council is highly supportive of the local economy. Indeed, in December 2022, it adopted the Brimbank Economic Development Strategy 2022-2027. As a result of this strategy, Council is considering establishing an economic-wide economic and employment advisory reference group. This is a great idea as it gives an opportunity for business and industry leaders to come together to discuss current issues and opportunities to economic, industry, and business development, support, and growth. It's important to mention that there are areas in Brimbank that do not have a business association, including Deer Park and Keilor. Having a municipal-wide advisory group is therefore highly important. Besides economic matters, this group will also be addressing employment matters. This is also a critical issue that affects our community and needs to be addressed by this group. We are familiar with these various challenges faced by the community in Brimbank when it comes to employment. I'm pleased to see this report coming to Council, and I commend this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Borg. Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to this report?
Thank you. Yes, I'm very honoured to be also part of this new and exciting advisory group, BAG. I think for me, it spells one thing: jobs, and something that we really, really need in our community. To be able to coordinate and promote job opportunities in hospitality and tourism across Brimbank is going to be, I think, a huge focus point for this fantastic group. The networking opportunities with business owners that will be on this committee, plus industry representatives, government representatives, will coordinate, have dialogue, and be vital in providing information on trends, opportunities, and on growing the local economy and increasing local employment opportunities for our youth and the whole of Brimbank community. Thank you.
Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this report? If not, I'll put report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. Just going to go to 12.4, St Albans Town Centre Marketing and Business Development Special Rate. Mr Walsh?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider commencing the statutory process to declare a St Albans Town Centre Marketing and Business Development Special Rate. This is the result of a request from the St Albans Business Association to continue the existing a special rate for the defined area within the St Albans Town Centre. Officers recommend that Council notes the request from the St Albans Business Association to introduce the special rate and undertakes a range of administrative actions related to the statutory process, as detailed in the officer recommendations in the report, including calling for submissions, appointing councillors to the Hearing Submissions Committee if required, and setting the date for a hearing if required. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of this item? Councillor Borg?
I'll move the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I second it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor David. Councillor Borg, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. This special rate was introduced in June 2019 and will expire on the 30th of June 2024. The St Albans Business Association has requested, as already mentioned, Council to renew the scheme as it has been highly beneficial. This association delivers several events and activities throughout the year. The marketing of these events plays a significant role in how successful they are. Most of the proceeds raised through this scheme will go towards the marketing aspect of these events, including but not limited to the appointment of a professional marketing coordinator. I'm happy to support this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor David?
Again, Madam Mayor, thank you. Yes. Yes, this report is very much supported by the Business Association, St Albans, and I think it's about time that we try to sort of push and help to make it better for them. They hold every year, as we know, the Lunar Year, which is a superb type of happening. And of course, it's other ways and means that Fiera Street in the whole area in St Albans is booming. And we like to see the association there work with the shopkeepers there and all the surrounding area to try and make it better. And this levy will welcome thing for them, and I support it.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this report, councillors? Put report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. (12.5) Transforming Brimbank Update 2022-2023. Mr Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Chair. The purpose of this report is for Council to receive the Transforming Brimbank update for the 2022-2023 year. Officers recommend that Council notes the update at attachment 1 to this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of this motion? For this report? Councillor Riley?
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor, I'd like to move the motion as per the shared screen.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Takos?
I'm happy to second that, Madam Deputy Chair. Thank you.
Councillor Riley, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, I would, Madam Deputy Mayor. I was pleased to read about the updates of the key milestones achieved within the Transforming Brimbank program over the last 12 months, and the expected key projects for the next 12 months. Last year, the Fitzgerald Road and Robinsons Road level crossings were both removed. Also, the construction of 2 mixed-use developments in Sunshine CBD on Service Street and Hampshire Road, both with approximately 50 apartments in each. Many of the Service Street apartments are dedicated to social and affordable housing, which was really good to read. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Councillor Tarkus, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, thank you. This council has done an outstanding job in advocating for transforming Brimbank from its inception in Parliament House in last term. Despite the current setbacks with the SRL airport undergoing a review, Council will continue to advocate that the state and federal government recommit to the SRL project. Because we all know it's a nation-building project and key that we in the West believe will lift our community into a thriving, growing and vibrant capital of the West. Along with the Sunshine Station Master Plan and Albion Station redevelopment release, it is clear that these key infrastructure projects will get the West moving again, literally and economically. And so we await with anticipation on what the decision will be on the state and federal government on the future of SRL Airport Rail, confirmed timeframe and scope for Sunshine and Albion stations, and the release of the revised plan of Plan Melbourne, and further detail about the role of state priority precincts. In the meantime, I commend this report the excellent work done by Kelvin Walsh and his team in not wavering from our vision from last term for a real version of Transform Brimbank, and also commend the advocacy team led by Georgie and the Mayor and Deputy Mayor, who are the voice of all councillors, for this strong dialogue in the media in ensuring that this vision becomes a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkus. Can you please be respectful till the end of the meeting? Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to Councillor Nguyen and then Councillor Watt?
Hello? What are you looking at? Banana. Be respectful. You heard her say that. Be respectful, you. She's not respectful. But they're respectful against me. Let's do something. They might as well do something.
Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to this motion?
Absolutely. So I just wanted to acknowledge that all these efforts that the council has done to advocate for all these major breakthroughs, including the state government's announcements of releasing the Sunshine Station Master Plan, the redevelopment of Albion Station, it did not happen overnight. And I would acknowledge this is the accumulation of all the hard work that the councillors and the council team has worked towards. And I want to acknowledge the community as well for their advocacy on putting these changes forward, because without them, we wouldn't have had as much of a momentum, the pressure to put on all sides of the political spectrum, to the fact that we were able to meet with people from both sides, and also independents and the Greens and all parties, to put a highlight on Brimbank and the importance that we see in becoming the centre of Melbourne's West. And yes, while it is disappointing that the airport rail is on hold, let's not give up. These are events that are made. Continue putting the pressure on, and I want to acknowledge all the people who put the submissions in from the community to raise their concern about the airport's free runways. So yeah, thank you. Good highlight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jasmine Nguyen and Councillor Walk.
Thank you. In addition to what has already been said by my fellow councillor, I just want to state that this, as stated in this report, Council is strongly advocating for the commitment by both the state and federal governments to the SRL airport project. This project will bring important transformative investments not only to Sunshine CBD, but also to the broader Melbourne's West, which is in such a great need. It's important to note, Madam Deputy Mayor, that the last 12 months, the state government made 3 key announcements: release of the Sunshine Station Master Plan, $143 million for the first stage of implementation of the Sunshine Station Master Plan, and $80 million for the redevelopment of the Albion Station. These announcements are highly welcomed by Council, as they are not subject to the federal government review. However, the time frame and the scope of the redevelopments of Sunshine and Albion stations are still to be confirmed. I would like to take this opportunity to call on both the state and federal governments to abide by their pre-election commitment to construct the Melbourne Airport Rail Project according to the initial timelines. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, councillors? Councillor David?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. One of the many shared visions, Madam Mayor, is our Sunshine Energy Park, which I call the icon of Brimbank. And indeed, I congratulate the Director Walsh and his team for putting such a good report before us tonight. It will be a measured initiative in transforming Brimbank program, but together with the infrastructure and present planning work being taken by the state government, will have a significant effect on the investment in the Sunshine CBD and the wider region. And I think it's a wonderful report, and I congratulate the Director again for putting the report before us. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else, councillors? I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. Going to go to 12.6, Financial Statement 2022-2023 and Performance Statement 2022-2023. Mr. Ma.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider the in-principle approval of both the 2022-23 financial statements and performance statements prior to forwarding these statements to the Victorian Auditor General's Office. The Local Government Act 2020 requires Council to prepare an annual report at the conclusion of each financial year, and included in that annual report is the audited financial statements and performance statements. The auditor cannot sign the audit reports unless the financial statements and performance statements are in their final form and certified by 2 councillors authorised by Council and the Chief Executive Officer and the Principal Accounting Officer. These accounts were presented to the Audit and Risk Committee, who have reviewed the accounts and recommended that the accounts be presented to Council for signing. It is recommended that Council approves in principle the financial statements and performance statements for 22-23 for the year ended 30th of June 2022 and nominate 2 councillors to sign the statements. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a move of this item? Councillor Kerr?
I'll move the item as per the business papers
Thank you.
motion. Sorry.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Dang?
I second it. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Councillor Kerr, would you like to speak to this motion?
No, thank you.
Councillor Dang, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this motion? Put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. I'm going to go to 12.7, Governance Report, September 2023. Ms Hill?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. The Governance Report is a standing report within the Council meeting agenda.
It's predominantly a key summary of operational and governance activity written in accordance with the Local Government Act 2020 and 1989. In this month's report, Council is recommended to note the contracts entered into and works orders approved in accordance with S5 Instrument of Subdelegation, Councillors' delegates and representative reports, and Councillors' declaration of representations by Members of Parliament, and the Councillor support expenses for the financial year 2022-23. In addition, Council is recommended to adopt the Brimbank Governance Rules 23 in accordance with Section 60 of the Local Government Act 2020 and revoke the Brimbank Governance Rules 2020 as adopted on the 18th of August 2020. Adopt the naming policy, the place naming policy 2023, and write to submitters thanking them for their submission. Approve the proposed council meeting dates for 2024. With regards to the Audit and Risk Committee, Council is recommended to adopt the Audit and Risk Committee Charter, appoint an additional councillor as a substitute to the Audit and Risk Committee, and note the annual Audit and Risk Committee activity report as presented by the Chair, Jeff Harry, earlier this evening, and note the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting 136 held on the 1st of September 2023. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of item 12.7? Councillor Bourke.
I'll move the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kerr.
I second the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Councillor Bourke, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. A major component of this month's governance report is the adoption of the Brimbank Governance Rules 2023. The draft, which was endorsed by Council in June 2023, was available for community consultations for 3 weeks. It generated a great deal of interest, and it was interesting to read the valuable feedback by the community. Lots of robust discussions were held to make the subsequent required changes. MEDOCs were also consulted and provided councillors with highly valuable information to make sure that councillors make an informative decision when endorsing this report. One of the items of interest to the community was in relation to Rule 55.16. Changes were made to further emphasize the intent of the rule regarding the chair choosing not to read out any part of the question that is in the nature of a submission. Important to note also that Rule 55.17 was updated to make it clear that a written copy of questions submitted and the answers provided at a meeting must be published in the minutes of the meeting. That is, the full written copy of the question will be included in the minutes. I would like to acknowledge the intensive work that was done both by council officers and councillors to update this document for the best interests of the community and the organization.
Thank you. Councillor Kerr, would you like to speak to this report?
No, thank you.
Councillors, anyone else would like to speak to this report? I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. Going to go to 12.8, Draft Brimbank Advocacy Plan 2023-2025. Ms Hill.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. The draft Brimbank Advocacy Plan 2023 to 2025 outlines Council's advocacy priorities over the next 2 years. This updated plan was developed following a successful 18 months of advocacy outcomes, with many of our priorities being achieved or promised. This plan also accounts for the changing political and social landscape following the pandemic state of emergency during which the previous version of the plan was conceived. Brimbank's new set of advocacy priorities were determined through a series of workshops and one-on-one interviews with councillors based on feedback they'd received directly from community. Consideration was also given to various council documents and campaigns that were developed in conjunction with extensive community and partnership consultation. In this report, councillors recommended to adopt the draft Brimbank Advocacy Plan 2023. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a move of this report? Councillor Takos?
I move the report as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Borg?
I'll second the report. Thank you.
Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, thanks. I support the Council's current prioritisation of advocacy matters with a lot of crossover in the themes. I also am glad that the reduction of gambling harm remains a key point in the advocacy, as well as the third runway with its health impacts on our community. But most importantly, I support that the gold issues are mental health impacts, which have prioritised as being one of the most important issues, along with Transform Brimbank, which we just talked about in the previous report. It's a very comprehensive list of advocacy items. Each of them, I guess, to me, is quite important and on our radar to ensure our community is provided with adequate funding, infrastructure, investment and supports. This is a very difficult time our community is going through at the moment with cost of living, but not just that. I was watching on the news a lot of teachers discussing kids' mental health going through the lockdowns, and I'm proud that this council has recognised the importance of mental health being a key issue, and that we will do everything we can to support our community, not just to survive but to thrive. Thank you.
Councillor Borg?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to reiterate what Councillor Takos mentioned. It's great to see that mental health continues to be a significant issue. It is, in fact, a silent pandemic. It requires further advocacy for long-term resources, and the demand is far greater than the supply. It is also worth mentioning the importance of advocacy partnership that is also mentioned in the report. As the saying goes, the stronger the voice, the better the outcomes. Council has partnered with a number of community groups and peak bodies as stated in the report. I would also like to thank councillors, officers and staff for such a thorough process. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this report? I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. Going to go to 12.9, Community Engagement Update, 26 January. Ms Hill.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. This report responds to a notice of motion from the Council meeting in February. It provides an overview of the engagement process Council officers have undertaken with traditional owner organisations and the Brimbank Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Consultative Committee in relation to understanding community sentiment around the 26th of January. Wurundjeri and Bunurong traditional owners and the Brimbank Aboriginal Consultative Committee have been consulted on their preferences for hosting a citizenship ceremony around the 26th of January. Based on their feedback and in accordance with the Australian Citizenship Ceremonies Code, it is recommended that the citizenship ceremony traditionally held on the 26th of January be held in the 3 days before or 3 days after moving forward. For 2024, it is recommended that the citizenship ceremony be held on the 23rd of January. A further report on options and recommendations on how to acknowledge the 26th of January in future years will be presented in early 2024 following further engagement. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the Director?
I've got a
Councillor
question.
Kerr?
Yeah, I just wanted to know, was there a consultation with the wider Brimbank community?
Thank you for your question. And through the Mayor, we have, through the Deputy Mayor, we have undertaken consultation at this stage with traditional owner groups as per the notice of motion in February, but further consultation will be undertaken.
Can you please stop disruptive behaviour, because it is disrespectful towards the officers, towards the councillors when they're trying to talk and you're talking over them. So please, can you respect that? Well, this is not the time to speak. This is time to listen. So for that reason, I'm asking you, please, to stop. Yes, you do. You can submit your questions. There is no problem with that. But you can't talk over the councillors and officers because it's rude, disrespectful, and it's not nice. It's.
So, sorry, can I just continue with my question?
Yeah.
I just wanted to, so just roughly, how many citizens do we have in Brimbank? Is it 200?
200,009.
Yeah. Are we going to consult with the majority of residents in Brimbank for the majority?
So through you, Madam Deputy Mayor, that's not the intention of the notice of motion. It asked us to undertake consultation with traditional owner groups and with the BATSIC committee. And so there is further consultation to come with broader community around how to mark the day in future years. But the citizenship ceremony code that was changed last year allows council to consider a different date rather than hosting it on the 26th of January moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, is there any questions for the director? Do I have a move of this motion? Councillor Borg?
Madam Chair, can we have an alternate motion to defer this matter to the next council meeting, considering that Councillor Papalia is not here today, and perhaps we can have further discussions about it?
I second that.
Let's check with governance. Yeah. Do I have a mover to defer it to next council meeting? Councillor Borg? Oh,
I'll move the motion to defer to
Okay.
this item to the next council meeting.
do I? Yeah.
This particular report, it come back to us exactly the same, in a difference. We have to understand that. There'll be no changes.
Okay, Councillor Borg was asking because Councillor Papalia is not here. It was her original motion, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the seconder? Councillor Kerr?
In that motion, thank you.
Okay, so now we can debate and go through it if we're gonna defer it or not. Councillor Borg, would you like to speak on this?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. I think this is a very contentious issue with some members of the community. And as councillors, I think we need more time to think about this report and see if we can have any alternate.
Can you please stop in the back there in gallery? Thank you. Yes, Councillor Borg?
And we can have any edit alternate motions when we present the report to council. That gives us more time to discuss and think about this, this matter. I am happy to defer this report.
Thank you, Councillor
Thank
Borg.
you.
Councillor Kerr, would you like to say something on this motion?
I guess
On
the only
deferral?
comment I have to make is that I'm disappointed that there wasn't a consultation with the entire community.
I think that was coming after, yeah, in the second report. I think consultation with community is coming in the second report.
I just think it should have been done all at the same time. Thank you.
Councillors, does anyone else want to speak on? Yeah.
I'd like us to put the motion. I want to put the motion because there will be no significant difference in this motion.
Yeah.
I think you know there will be no real use in dragging this issue on. I think we need to put it, and that down the track we can do further consultation, as was said by the director, with the community. But since we've got to this point, why should we delay it another month?
Thank you. Councillors, anyone else? Councillor David? Can you please put...
According to what I think is right, once it's moved and seconded into referral, is no debates thereafter. That's what it is. This is my opinion. So it has to It was moved and seconded, it has to put it to a vote. Deferral, yeah.
Okay.
We're putting deferral to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hands.
Are we just putting the
No, we're putting deferral to vote. So to defer this item 12.9 to come to next council meeting. So nothing's going to change. It's just going to drag another month and come back to council meeting. So can we do that again? I'm putting this deferral to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Against? So motion is lost. We're going back to the original. So do I have a mover of original motion? Councillor Nguyen?
I move the motion as with business papers.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Takos?
I second the motion.
Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yeah, I just want to note that this notice of motion was moved already earlier this year in February. We've already gone through a community consultation process. We've engaged with the people who are the most impacted by holding the ceremony on this day. And this is just basically moving a date to hold a ceremony of a ceremony, a citizenship ceremony, which is separate to the 26th.
Excuse me, can you please stop disruptive behaviour? Councillor Nguyen?
And I just want to acknowledge that a lot of Indigenous Aboriginal and Torres Strait Australians were born here many years, centuries ahead. And yeah, I see no problem with moving the citizenship ceremony date to another date. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to it? Councillor?
Yeah, I would just like to speak to it. I do not agree with the sentiment of moving the date. When I was first elected to council, the first thing I did was go to the citizenship ceremony on Australia Day. It was by far the most beautiful ceremony that I have experienced as a councillor. I got to see hundreds of new Australians be, welcome to the country. There were Indigenous people, there were people from every country I can think of. There was harmony, it was peaceful, it was beautiful. So I'm totally against this.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this motion, councillors? I put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. No, it's carried. We've got a motion 12.11 and 12.12.
12.10.
Sorry.
This one, 12.10 first.
Sorry, 12.10. Waste Recycling Leader Strategy 2018-2028 Community Report Card 2022-2023. Mr. Levis.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. This report is to present information to Council. It provides outcomes on the highlights of Council's 2022-23 waste strategy. It provides some positive performance, including good take-up of Council's opt-in food and organic curbside service, which has about 63% of households opting in, and relatively low contamination rates of that service at about 1.7%. The report also shows good engagement in a range of waste reduction and recycling programs. However, the report also shows that we have significant work to do to address seriously high contamination rates in commingled recycling, which is about 23%, and in our overall diversion from landfill rates, which is about 42%. Noting Council's target of 50% diversion from landfill, the officer advice is that that rate is unlikely to be achieved unless council introduces a universal FOGO service. There is a requirement under state legislation to introduce a universal FOGO service by 2030, but council may wish to consider doing that in advance of the legislative deadline to meet those targets in the waste strategy. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the director? Do I have a mover? Councillor O'Reilly.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I'd like to move the motion as per the shared screen.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Takos.
Madam Deputy Mayor, I second the motion.
Councillor O'Reilly, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor. As the councillor holding the sustainability portfolio, I was pleased to read this report and note that almost 3,000 residents participated as a seller or shopper through the garage sale trial events over 2 weekends in November 2022, continued promotion and awareness of dumping is damaging campaign, including the increased penalties, continued increased enforcement activity, focusing on illegal dumping hotspots, delivery of over 20,000 at-call hard waste collections. Thank you.
Councillor Takos.
I'd also like to congratulate Chris Levers and his team for the comprehensive report card on how we are tracking. Whilst moderate increases are happening in diversion away from landfill, with a whole suite of options in which we can reduce rubbish going straight to landfill, it won't be until, as Chris mentioned, universal FOGO is introduced that we believe we'll see a real reduction through the recovery of organic material. The other programs that are really pleasing to see is that recycling and rehoming clothes, furniture and appliance by partnering with West Welcome Wagon and Helping Hands Mission is also a fantastic way of paying things forward instead of sending them straight to landfill, to help people that are vulnerable and in need, and that those items may add, would end up in our landfills if we didn't recycle them. The Keilor Park Depot is getting a lot more traction, as well as the mobile events that are taking place in different parts of Brimbank, where people can bring their chemicals, their paints, their pesticides, oils. It's a great initiative to reduce these items being disposed of wrongly in our environment. E-waste drop-offs have been really successful at accessible points like libraries, and educational programs running in schools are starting to get the point across to our children, as well as the Dumping is Damaging campaign. Brimbank cops a lot of flack, and it's a large share of illegal it gets a large share of illegal dumping, and it's great to see that council have increased the penalties and enforcement for this to ensure that our amenity is kept clean and safe for everyone to enjoy. I commend this report.
Thank you, Councillor Takos. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this report? Put it to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Twelve point 11, contract number 24/3341, Adia Soccer Pitch, Adia Sports Ground, reconstruction works.
Madam, I'd like to move report 12.11 and 12.12 as a group.
Do I have a seconder?
Seconder.
Thank you, Councillor David. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. So 12.11 and 12.12 moved in group. Contract number 23/3395, traffic signal maintenance, and the one above that I just read out. Mr. Levis.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. The contract 243341 is regarding the recommendation for council to award a contract to reconstruct the sports ground at Ardia Soccer Pitch to RMS groundworks for a fixed lump sum of $1,408,660.12, including GST. It is a significant cost, and it's 20% or almost $300,000 more than was budgeted for the project. And this is a sign of the cost increases we're experiencing in construction projects. In this instance, we recommend Council does proceed with the project despite the cost increase, as we believe it's a necessary project. And we also believe we can fund this via savings reflected elsewhere in the Capital Works program.
And
Would you like
contract
me to
number
next?
23?
Yes, and contract 233395 is for traffic signal maintenance, and the report recommends Council award a contract to AJ Williams Group for the provision of routine and reactive maintenance and repairs of traffic signals that are under Council responsibility. The recommendation is to award a fixed lump sum for routine maintenance and to approve an estimated sum based on a schedule of rates for reactive works. The proposed contract is for a period of 3 years, with an option for 2 further 2-year extensions. The initial 3-year contract value would be approximately $750,000. The contract over 7 years, if all options were applied, is about $1.7 million.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover?
I move both of those motions.
And
Thanks,
I
Madam.
second it, Madam Mayor.
Second. Would you like to speak to it, Councillor Tuggles?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Would you like to speak to?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'm referring to the sports idea soccer pitch. This ground is overdue. It had to be done. This is the Westgate Sporting Club where they got seniors, they got reserves, they got a very big number of juniors, including girls team, and it's only the single ground. So it was really run down during winter time, and I think it was overdue to be done. So I thank the officers for putting that before us because it's in need to be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillors, anyone else would like to speak to these two reports? I put those reports to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. I'm going to go to item number 13, notice of motion. There are 2 notices of motion for this meeting. 13.1, community safety in Brimbank, notice of motion 25/23. Councillor Thomas O'Reilly. Would you like to move your motion?
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor, I'd like to move the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, Councillor Kerr?
I second the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Councillor O'Reilly, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, Madam Deputy Mayor. I've raised this notice of motion due to the incidents that have occurred in Brimbank over the past few months related to youth safety. I've had residents reach out to me asking me what is being done to address this, and I believe we need to know more information as to understand what is being done. Community safety is a shared responsibility across different stakeholders, and Council plays a critical leadership role that is dependent on and requires the support of partnerships and collaboration with all levels of government, agencies, and members of the Brimbank community. With the report that comes back to Council, we can learn more about what is being done, note any gaps, and provide suggestions on what could be done to further improve safety in our community in the future. I ask my fellow councillors for their support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kerr?
Thank you. I commend Councillor O'Reilly for bringing this motion to Council. As the chair of the Safety Roundtable, I regard youth safety in our community as extremely important. I've been advocating to state government for more police resources in Brimbank and the West since 2016, more specifically floating the idea of a police hub at Watergarden Station. This is a location where youth crime is concentrated. We also need more CCTV in problematic locations, more lighting, and of course, more funding from the state government for more police in our already stretched police force in the Western Metro area. I call on the state government to stop ignoring our community's safety. I call on our local members to stop sweeping youth crime under the carpet. We have lost enough lives on our streets recently. I look forward to receiving a report and hopefully a youth crime action plan.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this motion? Councillor Tarkos?
I also commend this notice of motion, but I think it's important to realise that our role as a council is to work in the prevention. And whilst crime is increasing and it is problematic, we need to look at the sources of what's motivating children to feel. Well, we already know that mental health issues are rampant in schools, and teachers have. Excuse me.
Can you please stop with disruptive
And-
behaviour?
And I think that it's really important that we partner with police and with other stakeholders to work in the area of prevention. Community safety, as mentioned by Councillor Kerr and Councillor O'Reilly, is a sense that we all work together in that shared space. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you please stop with your disruptive behaviour? It's not a time to listen. You came here to listen to our meeting, so please can you stop with your disruptive behaviour? Yes, it's our meeting, our constituents, our residents. It's Brimbank's meeting. Okay, we're going to stop now.
You're just going to stop, or do you want to ask them if you can adjourn the meeting?
Listen to you fucking faggots talk shit. Is that what we're here for?
Just adjourn the meeting, so just say councils are adjourning the meeting.
Councils is adjourning a meeting. Thank you. So before we start with proceedings, I would like the group to leave the meeting because it's not acceptable to call one of the councillors banana and to tell her as she's talking to go back to Vietnam. That's a poor behaviour and racist. So for those reasons, can you please leave the room? Thank you. Under Rule 72 of Council's governance rules, I am now ordering those individuals who have continued to be disruptive to leave the meeting because your conduct is disturbing the meeting. Thank you. Please leave the meeting immediately. If you don't leave the meeting, I'll ask the CEO to our security to have you removed. Thank you.
Corporations are under treason. I'm off anyway. You won't get around too, by the way.
Councillors, can you please leave the room and go in the back room? Thank you.
Madam Mayor, in all respect, we come, ladies and gentlemen.
I apologize to all viewers online for disruption of tonight's meeting. We are ready to resume meeting. We were up to the first notice of motion, which was notice of motion of Councillor Thomas O'Reilly, 25/23. He spoke on it, and Councillor Tarkus, who was a seconder, spoke on it. So I would like to, sorry, Councillor Kerr, my apology, and I would like to ask other councillors if they would like to speak on this motion or against. I'll put this motion to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. I declare this motion carried. Councillors, having lodged this notice of motion, I must vacate the chair to move the motion. I now call on council to appoint, which we have already. We appointed Councillor Tarkos. So Councillor Tarkos, would you like to come and chair the meeting for duration of my motion?
Thank you, Deputy Madam Mayor.
Do we have to, even that we did it? Okay. Okay. Can I have a mover to appoint Councillor Kerr?
I move the motion.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Riley?
I second the motion as per the shared screen.
Yeah. Yes. To appoint Councillor Tarkos to temporary chair.
Do I have to say the whole thing?
No, that's fine. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. Thank you, Councillor Tarkos.
Okay, thank you, councillors. Can I have a mover of the motion on the screen, please?
I move motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
Can I have a seconder for the motion on the shared screen? Councillor Kerr?
I second the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Would the mover like to speak?
Yes, please. Thank you. The current lighting at Taylor's Lake Sporting Club does not meet the club's needs, and an upgrade of the facility lighting is needed. The club requires adequate lighting on both the tennis court and oval in order to meet the community needs for night training and competitions. I have visited the club number of times and seen firsthand the amazing work they do for our community. The Taylor's Lakes Sporting Club is the heart of community sport in Taylor's Lakes, and I urge the government to seriously consider further investment as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Rasic. Would the seconder like to speak?
Thank you. First of all, thank you to Councillor Rasic for submitting this motion. I too visited the club along with the Mayor. The Taylors Lakes Sporting Precinct is a very important part of this community. It consists of the Tennis and Football Club. These clubs provide vital social and sporting networks to residents and especially children from the local community. At a time that we need kids to be involved in sports, these clubs are struggling to make ends meet with inflation and increasing cost of living challenges. They just don't have the resources to do this alone. They need this funding desperately. I call on the state government to please consider the request for funding to assist these clubs. The lighting is a critical requirement for both clubs to continue to operate, to promote more competitions, members and survival in these tough economic times. I plead on the state government to consider this request on behalf of all residents of Taylors Lakes. Please do it for the kids. These clubs are grassroots family clubs with the potential to cultivate future champions, promote wellbeing and enhance the community spirit in Taylors Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak in favour of the notice of motion? Would any councillor like to speak against the notice of motion? I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you. I will move a motion now to return the Deputy Madam Chair to the Chair. Okay.
We'll have to, yeah.
Thank you.
Just change your seats.
Going to go to item 14, notice of rescission. There are no notices of rescission. Item 15, urgent business. Sio, is there any urgent business for tonight?
There are no items of urgent business, thank you.
Going to go to item 16, confidential business. There is one item of confidential businesses. May I have a mover of the motion to close the meeting in accordance with section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020 to members of the public for the consideration of item 16.1, which has been designated confidential. Councillor Borg?
I'll move the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Dang?
I second that motion. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. All in favour, please raise your hands. Carried. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who is currently viewing the live stream of this meeting. This meeting will now be closed to members of the public. We will reopen the meeting to the public after this item is considered by Council. The meeting is now closed to members of public at 8:54 p.m.